Hot.
And all right, guys, fire away.
Oh, snap.
Matt, Nikki Javala from the Washington Post. Switching to Del Rio's defense after the success you had in the 3-4, what sort of changes have you had to make, and how do you feel your fit will be in this defense?
We're still in the early stages of first getting on the field for the first time, so question's a little hard to answer as far as changes, but initially it's just going to be getting off the ball a little bit more than what we were used to in that 3-4, and I'm hoping that my role can be just to help the team in any way I can.
Thanks.
Hey Matt, John Kime, ESPN.
Hey John.
Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Chase Young. I'm curious how he's fitting in. In terms of the mindset of this group, you guys have developed a certain mindset over the last couple of years. How has he been fitting in so far?
He fits in great. Right off the bat, mentally, I think he fits into the group with how we all gel together right away. And obviously physically looks the role, plays the role. So it's been good having him around and getting to work with him.
Are there one or two things where that you feel like you guys have been able to help him with, whether it's approach, whether it's teaching him anything? Is there anything that you guys have been able to kind of show him so far?
Personally, I'm taking it a little slow. I want to try and lead by example first before I really dive into that stuff. I think that can be down the road, but for me, I'm just trying to set a good example for him. He's a young, talented player. He's going to have a long, successful career, and I just want to give him his space and let him feel out the ropes for himself.
Thanks, Matt.
You got it, brother.
Hey Matt, Rhiannon Walker with The Athletics. It's nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Steve Russ told us that Ryan Anderson's been working with you on the defensive line, so I'm just curious, what's he been like, settling in there? Obviously last year he was kind of on the outside linebacker group, but what's he been like working with you guys in the line group so far?
Yeah, he looks good. He's moving fast. He looks strong. Ryan's a good friend of mine. But no, it's exciting having him around. He brings a lot of good energy.
Thank you, Matt.
You got it.
Hey Matt, it's JP Finley from NBC Sports Washington. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, you too, brother.
Thank you, bud. I wanted to ask, you guys as a D-line group got really close with Jim Tomsula. How's it going without him?
It's going well. It's going well. We built a good thing here, and we always knew a day would come when he'd be leaving, and we'd be staying behind. So we have a good chemistry, good gel here in the room, and we're going to continue to grow that.
Thank you.
You got it.
Hey Matt, have you worked with any of the face shields that they've got now? Are you planning on wearing any of those, or have you tried any of them out?
No, we haven't brought helmets out yet, so I imagine that'll be something I'll look at down the line. But for now, we're still in a bit of an acclimation period. I've seen some prototypes and stuff online, but I haven't seen any firsthand.
And I guess I'm curious for you, what was that process like when making the decision to be a part of the season?
As opposed to not opting out, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a decision that took some reflection, some prayer, and I spoke with my wife, and we just ultimately decided that we felt comfortable moving forward, playing the season out.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
Hey Matt, Pete Haley with NBC Sports Washington. You're someone who's consistently gotten better year after year. What has been kind of the one key that you can point to that's helped you continue to grow into one of the more dominant defenders in the NFL?
Yeah, that's a tough. I'm not sure. Obviously, had a lot of success as a D line here in the past, and I attribute that to those guys working hard and trying to commit the stuff we're practicing to practice, and then having executed in the game. It's tough to say what it's been, but I'm going to just continue to try and work as hard as I can every day and continue to grow.
And Sam Mills told us a couple days ago that he's aware that the D line kind of has to be what leads this team in 2020. Do you feel that pressure? Do you have that similar mindset too?
Yeah, I do. I share that sentiment 100%. I think that Sam calls it the tip of the spear. So I think we have the ability to, the right guys in the room, to lead this team, and I'm hoping to do that come game one.
Thank you.
You got it.
Hey Matt, Les Carpenter, the Washington Post. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I was curious, you were talking about not opting out or making that decision, to not do that. I mean, how much do you feel you have to protect this sort of soft bubble? I mean, is there pressure to, when you leave, to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a situation where it can affect a lot of the guys? I mean, is that something you all talk about? Is that something you think about? I mean, how much does that come into play?
I'll speak for myself. Personally, I see it just as my responsibility not to put myself at-risk positions, whether that be places I'm in or what I'm doing while in the facility, limiting contact, limiting exposure. But for me, it's just that, and I hope that everyone shares that same thought process of taking it upon themselves.
About it at all?
It's definitely been expressed in meetings and when speaking with our our medical team.
Thanks.
You got it.
Hey Matt, Sam Fortier with the Washington Post. You can kind of take Madden ratings for what they're worth, but this year's game gave you the second highest strength rating, and I was wondering, do you think that you're the second strongest player in the NFL?
I hadn't given it much thought before seeing it. I'd like to think so. I think we all in the D line we've kind of grown some of this chemistry in the weight room, so it's cool to see. It's cool to see that number be reflected in Coach Englehart's efforts.
What do you obviously Coach Englehart, but for you as well, like what do you think separates like your strength from maybe others? How do you get that?
I don't know. Truthfully, I'm appreciative of it, but it's not something that I've given a ton of thought to. But frankly, I think the D line we try and play physical, we try and play hands on, we try and play strong, trying to convert that weight room directly to the field.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hey Matt, Ben Standing with the Athletic. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I jumped a bit late, so hopefully I'm not asking something that was asked, but Jack Del Rio has said that they're going to try to use you guys up front a little bit differently than the way you were used last year, maybe a little less two gap, more penetrating. What does that mean to you with your role? How do you think that's going to potentially affect what you do out there?
Yeah, it's still early. We're still sorting out roles. We're still sorting out the defense with installs and everything like that. So that's a question that I'd probably have to just wait for another time down the road to answer. We're still working through all that stuff.
Is it unsettling on some level that a question like that, which is I understand why you can't answer, but like it's not that complicated of a question. And you're about 1 month to the season's actually starting, and you're still at this process because of what's happened in the off season. Is that somewhat unsettling as you're this close? Yeah,
obviously COVID's been hindered our progress a lot. It's hard whenever you have a new coach come in with a new system, but I feel confident that we'll have enough time to get everything worked out by the time the season comes. This is a D-line group that I feel is highly capable, so I don't have any confidence issues there.
Thank
you. You got it.
Hey Matt Harris from the Washington Times. I'm just curious, what are the biggest differences you notice in the way the new coaching staff goes about teaching the new scheme, or is there anything like in terms of stressing details or anything the way they go about communicating? Are there any differences?
Yeah, every coach is going to be different, coach to coach, coordinator to coordinator, but I think it's all been positive. It's all been productive.
And with Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera having that defensive background too, what does that do for you as someone on the line? I know they played linebacker, but does that help or does that do anything for you?
I don't know. I try and stay in my bubble. I try and stay with what I know. Those guys, obviously defensive minded, but I try and keep everything right in front of me, man in front of me. I try not to let too much of the scheme. I try not to think too deep into the scheme and where it's coming from and who it's coming from. As far as I try and just focus on doing my job.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Matt, it's Chris Russell from SI.com and 106.7 The Fan. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so, I mean, obviously, as a fifth-round pick, you know, I guess the book on you, people didn't have huge expectations, but yet you turned out to be a very, very vital role player in this system and on this team, and some feel you're the best defensive lineman on the team, whether that's reality or whatever. Has anything that you've done surprised you, or did you always think that you were going, if you got the chance, that you were going to be able to kick some butt and do the things that you've been able to do?
The question is, has my success surprised me? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I guess, has it even, I mean, it surprised many on the outside. Did the level of success you had even surprise you a little bit, or did you kind of envision this all along from the time you were drafted?
No, I would say I've always had confidence in myself and believed in myself. I definitely got off to a rocky start, but I'm happy with where my career has taken me, my path has taken me. I want to thank God first and foremost, and then I've obviously had some coaches that have been instrumental in my development.
Thanks.
You got it.
We'll take two more. No more?
All right.
All right, thanks,
All right.
Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.